Hi, everybody, and welcome to the season finale of Divine Soul Awakenings. Today, we're going to talk about the traditional Chinese secrets of medicinal mushrooms. And we have our guest speaker here, Rita Mustafa, who is a traditional Chinese medicine acupuncturist. And she's here to talk to us again about the benefits of medicinal mushrooms. And what we're starting to see nowadays is that science is actually starting to catch up and is starting to show us how certain mushrooms are renowned for their health benefits and can provide more energy, immune health, relaxation, and great sleep, and much, much more. So we here at Divine Soul Awakenings are a group of psychics and spiritual mediums coming together to help everyone awaken, align with their higher selves and soul purpose while lifting up humanity. So the whole study of mycology is actually something I've become pretty interested in the last little while. Mushrooms are everywhere, and they really, in my understanding, are really the foundation of life as we know it. They've started life, and they're also the end cycle of life. And especially now, as I said earlier, right, with this study of mycology and it sort of gaining traction and a deeper understanding and people actually investing in this type of research, we're learning a lot more about the real power that mushrooms and other fungi do provide for us. And I'm actually really excited to hear what Rita's got to say on this subject here today. So please feel free to ask us questions, and let's let this conversation move forward. So hi, Rita, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me back. So yeah, this is a really big topic. I don't pretend to know everything about mushrooms. It's such a huge just topic that I'm basically going to share how I use them in my practice and the little bit I know about them. But I'm sure there's much more out there that I can share with you. But and of course, any recommendations I'm making, it's more for educational purposes. It's not medical advice at all. It's just, educational purposes. Do your research. But I think we could learn a lot about just the simple mushrooms that I'm sure you may have heard of. Some are culinary mushrooms. Some are mushrooms that we, can just buy in the grocery store. Others are a little bit. I'm going to show pictures of a lot of these mushrooms too. So. Just to show you, like if you are someone who does foraging or you do a lot of trail hikes and stuff like that, you might actually be seeing some of these mushrooms. And yeah, so should I just start or any questions?
Well, it's since I moved out here to the east coast of Canada, I've been introduced to a whole new world of mushrooms that weren't around in Ontario where I was growing up. So it's been really interesting for me to just kind of walk through the woods and to see these different mushrooms. And first off, I don't know what most of them are, so I leave them alone. But to just see the different shapes and the colors and the different formations that mushrooms really take, to me, that alone is just a beautiful thing. But I've started to recognize some of these mushrooms, and I believe you'll probably talk about a couple of them today. I recently found a huge stockpile of turkey tails growing wild out in the woods here. And last year I found a bunch of chanterelles and stuff like that. So yeah, it's like I say, I'm really interested to see where this goes. I'll just kind of leave it to you.
Cool. Awesome. Okay, so actually, if you want to, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the three main ones that we use in Chinese medicine, and reishi being one of them. So a lot of times when we're talking about mushrooms or the properties of mushrooms, there's mushrooms that grow in the wild, and then there's mushrooms that are cultivated, grown in a warehouse or wherever they're grown, right? So, and even though they may have slightly different properties, they do show that even when they're cultivated, they still have a lot of the main properties of the mushroom itself. So reishi, probably one of the most common mushroom we use in Chinese medicine. It's called the mushroom of immortality, and a lot of the teachings and a lot of the books that date back with Chinese medicine talk about this mushroom, once being reserved for royalty and things like that. So when we talk about herbs or mushroom or foods in general in Chinese medicine, we kind of talk about what it does inside the body. So for this one in particular, it nourishes the heart, and also does something called calms the Shen. The Shen in Chinese medicine is the mind. So the heart and mind in Chinese medicine are connected. And so this is one of the mushrooms that's often could be used for things like heart issues, obviously, but things like anxiety or depression. But in the Western world, it's full of antioxidants, and it's has anti-tumor, anti-cancer properties, which a lot of the mushrooms do. So the reishi mushroom, like I said, is probably the most common. Very tonifying, so helps to build qi, helps to build blood. So if someone who's really weak or deficient, or just trying to boost up their immune system, reishi would be a good mushroom to do that. And this isn't really a mushroom you're going to find fresh in like the grocery stores. It's not usually considered a culinary mushroom. It's more used in like its dry form, maybe in a powder or a tincture. I've seen it as a tea also. But that's generally how the reishi mushroom is used. And some of these mushrooms are used in combination. So the next two, so reishi, maitake, and shiitake are generally used. Reishi, shiitake and maitake. Those three are generally used together in Chinese medicine. Very building up the immune system, very tonifying. Yeah, so that's the reishi mushroom. And a lot of these mushrooms, like I said, have immunoprotective properties. So you might see them in an immune formula if you're taking herbs or taking supplements from the store. So sometimes they're put into like immune boosting formulas because they have such great properties to help build the immune system. What else can I say about this one?
Oh, well, I think. Sorry, go on.
Well, I was going to say I didn't realize this, but the reishi mushroom, I guess, is categorized by the color. So just like the 5 elements in Chinese medicine have different colors. So the red refers more to like the heart. So the red reishi mushroom that's used mostly in Chinese medicine. But I guess there are different colors. So like the green reishi would be more specific to liver. Right, so I found that was something I found out new about that, because we generally just use the red reishi and we don't talk about the other ones. But if you have access to the other ones, they do focus on different organ systems.
That's actually really neat. I never knew that about the reishi. Well, and you made a good point earlier that I think people need to understand is that when we use mushrooms, especially for medicinal reasons, it's not always just a fresh mushroom that we need. And they do come in, like you said, they do come dried, or a lot of times you will find them in pill form as powder in a gel cap. So there are many different ways, because some mushrooms to me don't taste all that pleasant. But if I want the medicinal benefits of it, knowing that I can take a powdered gel cap with the benefits of the mushroom in it is to me is a big bonus.
Yeah, and I think the mushroom industry is just exploding. Like there's mushroom everything now. Like I'll show some products as we're going along, but I've got like a protein powder on my desk that has lion's mane in it. I've got coffee with a bunch of mushrooms in it, like coffee powder with a bunch of mushrooms. Like it's just everywhere, right? So it's very cool to see that how big the mushroom industry has become, and how important it is to actually include mushrooms in our diet. Whereas I think even when I was in school for the nutrition side of it, it was always like, oh, mushrooms are a fungus, it's not good for you, right? Like, so we generally stayed away from it. Now it's like, are you kidding? Like, as soon as I start reading about mushrooms, it's like I can't wait to go cook some mushrooms. Like I just have to have some mushrooms. Yeah.
Yeah, and Kathy is just sharing that she uses a powdered creamer for coffee and tea that is made of many organic mushrooms combined with coconut oil.
Oh, so yeah. You'll start to see it combined in so many different things. The creamer is new. I have not seen a creamer with the mushrooms in it.
Does the potency?
Well, it's now that we. Oh, sorry, go on, Jenny.
Yeah. Does the potency change when they bring it into a powder form, Rita, versus fresh? I know some of them are hard to get fresh, but
I think a lot of the properties aren't really extracted until they go into like there's an extraction process that actually, like when you make a tincture and stuff like that, right? It has to go through this extraction process to get like the real medicinal benefits from it. So, sorry, your question was, is it if you're eating it fresh versus like a powder?
yeah, is it less potent? It doesn't sound like it by what you're saying.
I wouldn't think so, because I think like the reishi mushroom, like it just basically gets dried and then powdered, because there's really no way to eat it. It's not like a soft mushroom that's edible, right? So I would think the benefits would be pretty good. Like I don't think it's, because a lot of these mushrooms you're adding hot water to it. So you think about things cooked in hot water, you think, oh well, the nutrient value's got to be depleted, but in this case it seems like it kind of like brings it out.
Okay.
I believe there are some mushrooms too that actually require like a cooking process to actually not only make them edible, but to actually activate some of the medicinal qualities of them.
Yeah, and Paul Stamets is probably like the most popular person to kind of look up if you're interested in the mushroom stuff. Like his brain is just full of so much information. And yeah, so that's a resource if anybody's interested in any specific mushroom, to just look up Paul Stamets on YouTube and you'll find a lot of information.
So you were saying with this reishi mushroom that it's good for the heart. Now, is that more the energetic heart or the physical heart that we're talking here?
It's both.
It's both.
It's both, yeah.
I think it's generally always both whenever you talk about it. Whether it affects more of the physical, it'll always have an impact on the energetic or spiritual or emotional aspect of it. Even receiving something like a massage is great, mostly for the physical body, but can have a bigger effect on the emotional, spiritual, and energetic aspects as well, right? So definitely will cover all aspects.
So just rang our doorbell here. So I'm just muting Rita here for a minute. Someone rang our doorbell downstairs, and I'm just going a little bit nuts. There we go. Okay, you're unmuted now.
Yeah, I think we're good. Yeah. Doorbell rang. Dexter's. Still thinking somebody's there. All right. So the next one is. You want to wait or should I keep going?
It's up to you.
Okay. Yeah. Shiitake is the next one. So shiitake is both a culinary mushroom and also a medicinal mushroom. Okay, here he comes. Come here. Come. No. So shiitake considered both a culinary and a medicinal mushroom. So if we live in an area which is mainly Asian, and we have so many like traditional Asian restaurants, and the mushrooms are probably the best part of Asian cooking. But shiitake is used in like so many dishes. And it is available fresh. You can get them in the grocery stores fresh. You can definitely get them dried in in grocery stores, in the Asian grocery stores for sure. There's like aisles of just dried mushrooms, things I've never heard of, but shiitake is definitely one of the main ones. This, if you've ever cooked with it, it has it's a very fragrant mushroom. It gives off like this, as if you're cooking with wine. If you're ever cooking with it, it just smells like you're cooking with wine. It's a really fragrant mushroom. It's a really neat mushroom to cook with. And this one in Chinese medicine, we also say it's very tonifying. So helps, building immune system, helps tonify qi, build energy, helps also build blood again, just like the reishi mushroom does. But this one also talks about, in Chinese medicine, being good for the respiratory tract, so good for lung health. So anything respiratory, so cold and flus, I guess, would make sense. what else can we say about this one? Oh, and this one also has properties of helping to lower cholesterol and C-reactive protein. So that's an inflammatory kind of marker that the body creates when there's inflammation. So this is a really good mushroom to add into your cooking, whether it be dried and you just rehydrate it, or you find them fresh in the grocery stores. But yeah, what else can I say about this one?
So even like if you order Chinese food and it has shiitake mushrooms in there, covered with the sauces and it's been cooked and altered and as MSG, it's still going to be like okay for you?
Well, obviously there's going to be some benefit to the mushroom, but because you're eating the mushroom itself, but you know, it's better if you can cook it yourself, right? So
Like in a soup.
yeah, like make it in a soup. Like I kind of like will steam it or just kind of saute it and add other like greens to it and stuff. And like I said, it gives off such a nice smell, and it is a really nice taste. So good for anything that kind of, you know, think of like a dish that you would normally put wine into. Like you wouldn't need to, because you would just cook with these mushrooms and it would give off that smell, that taste. Yeah, so think of this one for, again, energy, immune system, but also lung, whereas the shiitake was more heart. So this one we would think of more for lung, on top of all the benefits of energy.
And this mushroom has a great texture too. If I remember, it's kind of like almost like a meaty,
it's
kind of full texture. And you know, honestly, one of the best vegetarian burgers I ever had was just a giant shiitake in replacing the beef patty, and it was phenomenal.
Yeah, it's filling. It's filling. It's meaty. It's a really great mushroom.
Would you say it has a different texture from, like, say, a button mushroom? Or are they all fairly consistent?
I find it a little more dense.
Yes.
There's a little more resistance biting into a shiitake than a button mushroom.
Right.
Which is why it was such a good replacement as a veggie burger.
Yeah,
he's not a fan of mushrooms, so
No.
I have to like hide it into things
I'm
or
not
really
a fan.
make it really small so
I
it
like
can't
the
be killed.
taste. It's the texture.
It's the texture, yeah.
The texture of how you bite into it, it slops around. It's not a fun texture for me. No.
I know a lot of people that don't like mushrooms. And I feel bad for them because I just think they're a wonderful addition to vegetarian dishes or any soups or.
Yeah,
But
I
we
mean,
can get it in
the
powder
cooking,
form.
when it's added into the dishes, like it adds such a flavor and so delicious. And I know the properties and the healing properties behind it. It's so beneficial. And I hear that all the time. Like, you know, spirits tell me, like, yeah, these are really good. You really got to eat the mushrooms. And I see it's like, yeah, it's so helpful. I feel the energy from it. But it's actually getting past that. Okay, let's get it into your system. So the idea is using something dried or cutting it very finely so that it's mixed in so the texture can be hidden. That's something that I personally need to get past. Actually, I should probably try doing an emotional release with that and see what's going on.
You should try meditating.
I usually will put it in a food processor and just make it so small that it just becomes part of the dish. So I'll add it to like a tomato sauce sometimes. Like there's no way you can pick it out. Like it's just like, you know, and it's not like you're going to chew on a big piece of mushrooms. So there's ways that I can definitely get mushrooms into our meals because he doesn't really like to eat them. Otherwise, they just get pushed to the side.
A big, massive pile. You ready for the pile?
Rakan, you should try taking, like, if she ever has shiitake mushrooms, take one of them and actually meditate with it. And see if you can bring, because you're introducing the mushroom into your energetic field. So you can still energetically reap the benefits of it without actually having to physically ingest it.
I've never thought about that. Yeah, because definitely do energetic meditation like that. Even just the concept and the idea of mushroom without having it physically here, I could see pulling that into. Yeah, very cool. Great idea, Mike. Love it. Love it.
Should we move to the next one? So maitake. So maitake, every so often I'm lucky enough to find this in the stores. And oh my gosh, I love this mushroom. It is so tender. It's like It's similar to like an oyster mushroom, but not even. It's even like more tender than that. But anyway, so maitake is the third mushroom in Chinese medicine that's very commonly used. And this one definitely can be used as a culinary mushroom, also as a medicinal mushroom. Let's see, this one has been known to help with regulating blood sugar, also decreasing cholesterol, sort of like the shiitake that we just talked about, and also can help improve blood pressure. So in Chinese medicine, we say it's also tonifying, like the others that we've seen so far, but more specific to stomach and kidneys. So any kind of kidney issues, bladder issues, urinary type issues, we would think to use maitake. It's also sometimes known as like hen of the woods or dancing mushroom.
I've heard that name before.
Yeah, so a lot of these mushrooms go by so many different names, but this again, so taste-wise, I just love this mushroom. Just lightly sautéed in whatever dish, it's so good. And you know, I'm not often do I see it in the grocery stores, but when I do, it's like it's the first thing I want to eat when I get home. It's like, I need to eat these mushrooms. They're so amazing. They taste so good. But there's a lot of research on that particular mushroom to help with. I'm just going to read it. So, studied for the ability to restrict proliferation of blood cells that feed tumors. So definitely an important mushroom if you're dealing with any kind of like tumor or cancer or anything like that. So just something to consider. Again, it's not medical advice. I'm just giving you information on the mushrooms. You can do your own research.
Can you say that sentence again?
Okay, so it has been studied for the ability to restrict proliferation of blood cells that feed tumors.
And what does that mean in plain English?
So proliferation is spreading. So like spreading. So it's kind of it kind of stops that spreading of those cells that feed the tumors.
Wow.
Yeah.
So would that be? And now I know when you're getting to things like cancers and any serious health issues, doing things like juicing is a really good idea. Would you be able to juice something like this, like a maitake mushroom?
I can't see why not. I've never juiced mushrooms before. I don't know how much actual liquid you would get out of it, to be honest. I don't know.
I guess unless you puree it.
Personally, I would say I would buy the powdered version and add it to your juice.
Yeah.
That way you get the full benefit. Because a lot of times when you're buying powdered version, not only are you buying capsules, are usually made from not only the fruiting body, like the actual mushroom that we can see, but it's also the mycelium, right? So it's sort of like the root structure, I guess, to describe it. So a lot of the capsule versions have very powerful properties. So just get the powdered version and just add it to stuff, right? Protein powders, coffees, juice, whatever.
So maitake, really good for cancers and whatnot, tumors.
Yeah, and you'll find a lot of these mushrooms have properties that are, immune boosting or immune regulating, or like all of these mushrooms are going to support the immune system in general, right? So, and some are more specific to different types of cancers. So this one more specifically for sort of like just kind of stopping the proliferation of or the spreading of, but not to say that you couldn't use shiitake or reishi if you had some sort of cancer, because there's still tonifying benefits, immune boosting benefits, that kind of thing.
And then Angel Divine was just mentioning that they like shiitakes in soup, like chicken soup.
Yeah, it's great to start adding them to things. You'll see them in the grocery stores now that we've talked about them. You'll see all the different kinds of mushrooms that are available to you, and just start adding them to your dishes, whether it be a soup or a stir fry or like anyway. Generally speaking, we kind of, I've heard that it's better to have them cooked than to eat them raw. I know some people will put like raw mushrooms on like salads and stuff like that, but I've I've heard, so I don't know the science behind it, but I've heard it's better to cook them, any mushroom, as opposed to eating them raw.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So do you think when it moves into a powder format, I would figure that they're doing some sort of dehydration process or a flash freezing, and then they're grinding it down into a powder format? Would there be any type of, you think there's a like maybe a cooking process in there, or there's like a friction process as they're grinding it down that would change the properties of it this way?
I don't know. I don't know enough about the whole extraction process or how it's actually, you know.
I think it'd be pretty immeasurable. From what I understand is that they just either naturally let them dry out, or they will dehydrate them to speed the process up, to get them to a place where they can then just grind it into a powder.
Yeah, and I would think there might even be a difference if it's put out in the sun, so it's getting the sun's photons and more natural wild energy.
Yeah, and vitamin D too. So wild mushrooms are a source of vitamin D, especially if you're a vegan, where you might not want to do some of the vitamin D supplements, but wild mushrooms are considered a source of vitamin D also.
But typically, don't mushrooms grow in the shade?
They do.
Some grow out in the sun too.
Like on the tree. They're on the tree.
Grow,
Yeah.
They grow in different conditions, different areas.
Right.
Yeah.
You can walk out into a field after a rainstorm and see mushrooms popping up in the middle of the sun. And,
yeah, true. Yeah.
Walk into the woods and then you'll see a different kind growing on the side of a rotten log, right? So.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Love it.
Yeah, and then a comment from Robinette. She says she uses mushrooms immune builder for nausea and stomach issues, and she feels relief in minutes, and she highly recommends it.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Okay, so so the next one on my list is turkey tail. So this one you've probably have seen if you're out and about or you like hiking or being in the woods. This is more easily found than some of the other mushrooms that we're talking about. Turkey tail, also used in Chinese medicine a lot. It's considered an adaptogenic, so meaning it adapts. So if you're overstressed, understressed, right, it just sort of adapts. So same with your immune system. If your immune system is overacting or underacting, it helps to adapt that energy. In terms of properties, Chinese medicine properties, again, tonifying. So all of these mushrooms are going to be tonifying. They're going to help with energy. We say qi, so tonifies qi or energy. But this also tonifies jing, which is like essence, right? So our essence. And so this one there's a lot of research on turkey tail for many things, but any kind of weakness, poor appetite. So think of, I hate to keep talking about cancer because this is not just about cancer. It could be any kind of condition going on where there's a general weakness or lack of appetite. But in terms of being studied, there's a lot of research on this one being studied to help with breast cancer. So most of the studies are done while in conjunction with doing conventional treatment and adding in turkey tail. Again, that Paul Stamets person talks about his mother having stage 4 breast cancer I think it was in her 80s. And it wasn't even him. So even though he suggested take turkey tail, she didn't start taking turkey tail until someone else recommended it. So, and she's in her 90s now, and she's, we're talking stage 4 breast cancer to like 10 years later still being here.
Yeah, I believe she recovered actually rather quickly when she started taking the turkey tail too.
Wow. Yeah. So, So
now, is that one, Rita, that you can find in a health food store?
You can find it out in the woods all across North America.
Right. But if you don't have that availability.
I have not seen it in the grocery stores. For sure, you can get it as a capsule or a powder, tinctures. Yeah, it's a very common like supplement in food stores, turkey tail. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What else do I have?
Go back to the turkey tail there, Con. So because I did find a patch of turkey tail, I started to do a little bit of research to make sure I could identify it properly.
Yeah.
And in that research, I found out there are several mushrooms that actually look very similar to turkey tail, but aren't. So if you do think you found some out in the wild, one of the key factors in my research I realized is on the bottom side of the turkey tail, it'll have small little tiny pores on it. If it doesn't have those tiny pores, then it is guaranteed to not be turkey tail. But again, anytime you're foraging or anything for mushrooms, make sure you do the research, find someone who knows what they are talking about, because one bite of a wrong mushroom could be a bad time.
Yeah, and Angel is also adding to that, saying the same thing. There are a variety of mushrooms, but not all are edible. Some are poisonous. Just go do your homework before picking them from the wild. Definitely.
Yeah.
Good to mention that.
Yeah, and I've seen even this summer, like a lot more people offering foraging classes where you I wouldn't be comfortable picking a mushroom, outside and saying, oh yeah, this looks like something. I just wouldn't be comfortable because I just don't have the exposure to it. So if you have the chance to go out and forage with someone who knows what they're doing, like totally try it, because you'd be amazed at actually how many mushrooms are actually out there.
Or offer it to the neighbor that you're just not quite sure about. I picked up these things from the wild. Here's a gift.
There was
one of the questions I had about the foraging was that I had heard that mushrooms on trees versus mushrooms on ground are less likely to be toxic on the trees, as opposed
I wouldn't follow that.
to the ground. Yeah,
I wouldn't follow that.
yeah. I thought that was a good question where I'd heard somebody say that.
If in doubt, leave it alone. Don't pick it.
Yeah.
I know there is an app you can get on your phone that helps you identify mushrooms. I still would be very cautious about using something like that and still do further research rather than relying on taking a picture and having an app tell you what it is. But there's lots of, I'm actually a part of a bunch of Facebook groups where people will help you identify. And these are people who have years and years of experience and knowledge. And so the resources are out there for you.
Yeah. I know they're abundant in the area that I'm in at. So it's been something that I've been wanting to get into.
Con, I just had a spontaneous idea for mediumship practice exercise. Like, is it poisonous or is it not? Like, tune in. Energetically not to eat, obviously.
Yeah, right. With the disclaimer on the bottom, Rachel.
That would scare me.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
The hair just went up on the back of my neck when you said that.
Going down dangerous territory here.
I don't want to bring up lion's mane. There we go.
There we go. Yeah, lion's mane. So lion's mane is such a cool looking mushroom. So this one, if anybody knows about lion's mane, its main kind of focus or research is for its neuroprotective properties. So it also has some studies to show that it can do remyelination of neurons, good for Alzheimer's, MS, Parkinson's, any kind of like nerve anything you want that's anything that's related to like nerve, then I would think lion's mane. And again, I can't say I've ever seen this in the store. I have seen some local foragers that will sell them sometimes. But most of the time I see them either dried. So again, in the grocery stores, I've seen them dried and just like in a big bag, or a powder or a capsule version. But this one is very cool. Not only is it pretty, but it has really unique properties. Yeah.
Are there
I've actually
special
seen
grocery
this one out
stores?
in the wild.
Say that again.
Said I've actually seen the lion's mane out in the wild growing here.
Yeah.
I have seen it in grocery stores here on occasion, and here in New Brunswick, Canada, there are a few people who actually do grow them for sale. So you'll see them at farmers markets a lot, and like the raw form, as well as powdered form. So if you are interested in mushrooms, take a look. There might be someone who is growing them in your area, so you can get them fresh.
So this isn't like a special grocery store that we're talking about here. It's not like an Asian store or whatnot. It's talking just like a regular
generic grocery store. I've seen them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not often. It's definitely a specialty, but I have seen them at just like a general grocery store.
Now I know lion's mane is part of my regular diet. With my MS and degenerative disc issues and whatnot that goes to my nervous system. So this is definitely in my regular diet that comes in here.
So for him, I use it in a powder form, and we'll usually just add it to his juice in the morning. But we have done capsule versions also. I just find the powder version in stock, that's all.
I think in terms of like when these issues come up, I notice that my body is a little bit better than others going through the same thing. Yeah, although it's really different from person to person, but I feel there's a great benefit from it because people can see me from a time that I wasn't taking something like this to a time that I was, even with the breathing I was doing. There was a noticeable difference that people could see before and after. Yeah.
Okay, so this not so pretty looking mushroom is called shaga. It basically looks like burnt charcoal. And it's considered an adaptogenic, so it helps your body adapt. In Chinese medicine, we use it to, again, tonify qi. This is another one that calms the shen. The shen is the mind, so just like the reishi mushroom, we could also think shaga if you're prone to like overthinking, anxiety, things like that. Also in Chinese medicine, we say it helps to tonify kidneys, spleen, and liver. So sometimes we can use this as part of like a detoxing protocol because of the liver cleansing aspect. What else can we say about this one? Also, some research has shown that it also protects DNA. So the shaga mushroom protects DNA. And this one, usually, I've only ever seen it as like dried. It looks like wood actually when it's all chopped up. And you can actually buy the chunks of shaga and make teas from it. Of course, you can get it in powder form, capsule form. And it's generally made into a tea. That's generally how, in Chinese medicine, that's how we use it as a tea. But of course, like I said, powder, supplement.
Well, that's exploded on the market this past couple of years, the shaga tea or the mushroom coffee. And it's shaga that they're using, right? It's that one?
Yeah, so a lot of times it's shaga can be sold specifically just by itself, but I'm finding it's mixed in with a lot of the other mushrooms, right? So because a lot of them have similar properties in terms of like helping the immune system and antioxidant values and all of that. So unless you want to work on something specific, like, if it's neurological, then maybe you just want to do more lion's mane instead of all the other ones. Or if, breast cancer is an issue, then maybe you want to focus on turkey tail by itself instead of all of them, or in combination with the other ones. Yeah.
So you've used the word tonifying pretty much with every single mushroom. What does that mean when you say tonifying?
Tonifying is like building up something. So make it stronger. Does that help?
Yeah, very much so.
Okay. So sometimes I use the word thinking everybody understands what I'm trying to say, but so thank you. Yeah. So tonifying in Chinese medicine is like, we're trying to build, we're trying to like make it stronger. We're trying to, that's basically what we're trying to say when we're tonifying.
Got it.
Tone your muscles.
Or there you go, toning.
Well, I know here on the East Coast, the chaga is quite popular
Yeah.
and grows quite abundantly out here.
Yeah.
So if you are ever out in the woods, it typically does grow on birch trees.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it is something that if you do harvest, you only want to harvest about half of what you find. If you take more than half, you run the chance of actually killing the chaga. It takes a long time for it to grow. So it's one of those things, take what you need and leave it so it can regenerate and grow back and be there as a source for you in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, very good point.
And then Angel was adding that chaga is believed to have potent antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties, making it a potential alternative remedy for things like arthritis and high blood pressure.
Wow.
Thank you.
Very
for
cool.
that.
Very cool.
And
Let's
then
move
more
on.
to that, one more thing. She said it also can help, may help lower blood sugar and even slow the progression of cancer. Additionally, as well, chaga also helps to ease inflammation.
Yeah, so I think when it first started to become popular again, or for the first time for North Americans, anyways, yeah, that's how they promoted it, was anti-cancer properties,
Mm-hmm.
right? Antioxidants, immune building.
Now,
Yeah.
do you think the fact that it kind of looks like a tumor
Yes.
would be kind of showing us that this is what it can actually help with, is something like cancer? Because a lot of times medicinal properties will show up in the way things look as a way to sort of help you identify.
Yeah, it's not a pretty mushroom.
No.
No.
Sorry, mushroom, you're just not.
Yeah.
But you have a lot of great properties, so we're still gonna consume you. Okay, this very cool mushroom. It's called the Garicon, and I don't know where I heard or read that this is considered the longest living mushroom. So it grows sort of like it looks like actually like a beehive. It's a very cool looking mushroom. Supposedly it's very bitter, so probably not something you can maybe just do by itself, but I don't know if I've ever had it by itself. I've always had it with other mushroom powders. In ancient Greece, it used to be used for respiratory illness and consumption, which is believed to be TB, like tuberculosis.
Mm-hmm.
So here's another one that can maybe help with lung-related conditions. But there's lots of research on this one for many different things. Many, like even things like cowpox, H1N1, bird flu, herpes, the regular flu. So lots of cold and flu formulas you might see like in the health food stores actually will include agarikon in its formula. I've been seeing that more recently. Yeah, so it's a very interesting looking mushroom. I haven't seen one to know like actually how big it gets. I've only ever seen pictures or videos of them, of agarikon.
I believe they grow quite enormous.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
I remember watching some Paul Stamets videos, and he talked about one that was quite ginormous that they did come across in the wild, and
Very cool.
like almost human size.
Wow, yeah. So amazing stuff. Can it help with asthma? I don't know if it's specifically for asthma, but if it's respiratory related, I would try it. There were some other ones too that were respiratory related. What was there? There was it turkey tail? Now I can't remember.
I think you said shiitake was for lungs.
Yeah, I'm thinking shiitake. Nourish skin, liver. Yeah, respiratory tonic, shiitake. You're right.
Awesome.
Great question.
Yeah, and asthma, asthma can be caused by many things. So if it's not something you've tried, definitely I would cut out dairy products. Dairy products can be a contributor to asthma.
Beautiful. Yeah, this is a massive, massive mushroom. You can even see that the trunk of the tree behind it is quite thick, and it equals the mass of it.
Yeah, it looks really cool. If you do like YouTube search on Agaricon, you'll see it's a very interesting looking mushroom. Cordyceps. Okay, so there's many types of cordyceps, but in sort of like the medicinal world, we're probably either going to encounter the Cordyceps militaris or the sinensis. So the orangey one, the militaris one, that one's usually cultivated, so grown on some sort of medium. Usually, I think it's rice. I believe they can get it to grow. And then the other one, it can grow on pretty much any kind of like caterpillar. It can take over ants, and it'll grow out of ants. It'll grow out of many different things. So again, when you start looking up these mushrooms, it's not very pretty when you know that it's grown out of like some kind of insect. But most of the cordyceps mushrooms in supplement form are the first one, the cultivated one.
Is this what they call the zombie fungus or the zombie mushroom? Because they grow on insects, that they actually take over the nervous system. Take
over the insect, yeah. And so, yeah, if you could do a search. I didn't want to gross people out with this mushroom because it has really great properties here's another one for lung. But a lot of athletes take cordyceps because it helps with recovery time. It helps with endurance. So it's a really great mushroom. So I didn't want to gross anybody out by showing them how it can actually grow. But just know that most of it as a supplement form, it's coming as a cultivated form. So it's not grown on animals. It's grown on, I'm pretty sure it's rice. It's a rice medium that it grows on. What else do we know about cordyceps? Over 400 varieties of cordyceps. In Chinese medicine, again, tonifying, strengthens the kidney, the lung. Here's one that tonifies kidney yang. So kidney yang is sort of like our fire, our energy that kind of gives us life, really. So this is a good one to, I can see it for endurance. I can see it for recovery. It has the ability to increase oxygen and ATP in the cells. So this is a really good long kind of recovery type mushroom. And this one, the person that was asking about asthma, this one has more studies done to help with asthma. So now you've got 3 mushrooms to choose from to help with asthma.
Kay saying it's not gross, it's cool. It's a little gross. It is a little gross. It's really cool, but also kind of gross. Let's be honest here. Just a little.
Angel is saying white funguses is good for the lungs and skins. That is also Chinese women beauty secrets. Ooh. So I talked about the 5 elements, right? So metal, fire, earth. And so each element is kind of connected to a different organ, and the lung in TCM belongs to the color white. So whenever you see white food, we say it's helpful or enters the lung. So yeah, that's a good point. Thank you.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Okay, these are really cool Chinese mushrooms, and I get these dried. So again, in the grocery stores, they come dried, and they're so good. Oh my goodness! Whenever I start honestly talking about mushrooms, it's like I can't wait to go cook mushrooms. Like I love these mushrooms. So the snow ear mushrooms, again, they're so delicate and so sort of like the maitake, again, like a really delicate, really light mushroom. But so all I do is you actually, I have some here. So just, let me see. So this way. So it just comes dried, and it's like a ball, like a snowball almost. And you just soak it in water and rehydrate it, and then just add it to soups and stuff like that. So that one is the snow ear mushroom. Sometimes they call it snow fungus. Tremella is another name for it. That mushroom is, so in Chinese medicine, we say it helps tonify yin. What that means is it helps to nourish fluids. So think of, I don't know about where you guys are, but here in North America, the winter's here, the heat comes on in the house, and like everything dries up. My lips are dry, the skin gets dry, you just feel more dehydrated, less humidity in the air. And so this would be a really good mushroom to help rehydrate the body, but also rehydrate skin. Yeah, what else about this one? Moistens the lung. Yeah, it's just really good for hydrating. Boiled it, water.
Good timing. Yeah, Kay says she boils it, rehydrates it, and helps her daughter's eczema. So rehydrating the dry skin of her daughter. That's pretty cool.
So so that's a really good mushroom to put in soups and things like that. So I really like that mushroom. And then below it is called the wood ear mushroom, or black fungus. Again, it's a really delicate mushroom. Same thing. You mostly get it dried, and then you rehydrate it. I think it's sweet and sour soup in Chinese cuisine. They usually cut it into like little strips, and then they'll add it to sweet and sour soup. So that's what they're using, this wood ear mushroom.
I was wondering what that was. Okay.
Yeah. So you can actually buy it already cut into strips, and you just rehydrate it and add it into your soup, or you can get it not cut up. So sorry, lost that one. So they're not small. So this is
okay.
So this is one. I've dropped all of them so far. What does that say? So here's another one. So yeah, you just rehydrate it, and it basically is that nice brown color in there. And again, just add it to soups and stuff like that. So with the wood ear mushroom, it's again tonifying. So tonifies the yin, the fluid. Again, helps with fluids. Good for circulating blood. Can clear heat. So yeah, so those ones are really good. Definitely culinary mushrooms, I would say. Mm-hmm. So start looking for them even online. I'm sure you can get them online if you can't find them in the grocery stores. But they're very traditional in Chinese cuisine. Like these mushrooms are like used all the time, right? A lot of these mushrooms.
Yeah, we see that a lot. See it all the time. Yeah. Although it's kind of rare that we do Chinese now because it's.
I know we haven't had Chinese in a long time. Yeah. Yeah,
our palate has changed since being tucked away.
Yeah, I used to get a mushroom dish, just a dish that was all mushrooms, and it would be like I couldn't even recognize some of them. It was just like they were all good. It was like my favorite dish. It's just all mushrooms.
Yeah, you're weird that way.
I am weird.
That's why I love you.
I'm okay with it.
That's why
I'm sharing that with fun.
Kong's like no. Okay, and then these two for sure you should be able to find in the grocery stores, the Yanaki mushroom and the oyster mushroom. So let's see, what can we say? So Inaki mushroom, there's a Japanese study, I think, in the 70s or 80s, 70s, I think. And they started researching these Yanaki mushrooms in Japan because they found the factory workers that were taking home the Inaki mushrooms that weren't quite, store material. They, those families presented with less cancer overall than people that didn't necessarily eat a lot of Inaki mushrooms. And so they started doing studies with with this particular mushroom for cancer. So you can see a lot of these mushrooms have really great properties. So not to say that one is better than the other. I think they all have, great properties. It's really about mixing, matching, kind of just being exposed to all different kinds of mushrooms.
Yeah, the Inaki is the one that also it looks like sperm.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to help with male virility, or maybe not virility, but at least help with conception.
I would think so. So again, going back to Mike's point about what it looks like, right? And then just like walnuts look like the brain, so walnuts would be really good for the brain, then I would look at this mushroom in the same way.
Well, that would mean that the wood ear would be good for hearing.
It could be, yeah.
Yeah.
If let's see, was the wood ear
connected to the liver?
Wood ear, circulation, heat, liver. I wouldn't hurt. What else can I say about Inaki? Oh, Inaki has also been tested to significantly improve HPV infections. So it's just information on the Inaki mushroom. And then there's the oyster mushroom. So oyster mushroom, again, readily available. You can pretty much get them fresh, add it to your meals. This is sort of another kind of like a meaty mushroom, I find. So it does have some good texture to it. Here's another one that helps lower cholesterol. So if you can't find any of the other ones, and at least you can find these two in the stores, you can definitely benefit from just using these two and the shiitake. Shiitake is easy to find also, I think.
Yeah, we definitely
is at least out here in the East Coast, it grows quite abundantly. It is an easily identifiable mushroom, and can be found in abundance. In the world.
Yeah, and if you look online, there's all these like kits that you can buy. So you can buy kits where you grow mushrooms at home, and it's sort of like a little experiment, right? So like oyster mushroom, there's always an oyster mushroom kit. There's a lion's manes kit. Probably shiitake, but I find because oyster mushroom's easy enough to find, I would probably go with like a lion's mane or something that you wouldn't really see up front or in person type thing.
Yeah, you definitely see Inaki in hot pot.
Yeah.
A lot of hot pots with Inaki in it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Japanese cuisine, right? When you do the miso soup, they always add like
miso too. Yeah, Japanese as well.
Yeah.
Now you're talking about the kits. Those kits, are you able to regenerate the mushrooms in there? Like once you have a kit?
I haven't been able to. So I kind of, for the price, I find it's probably too much, I would say, because let's say you're paying $25 to $35 for a kit and you get one bunch of oyster mushroom, right? Which is like $5 in the store. So it's probably, price-wise, it's probably not economical. But in terms of like being able to actually see it grow and to actually like, especially if you have kids or something, to actually, show them how it grows and things like that. But I forgot your question now about the kit.
Just regenerating.
Oh, yeah. So I've tried like just keeping it moist or, after it's kind of made its mushroom, whatever it is. And I've tried to kind of see if it'll grow again by creating a slit or a cut on a different side of the bag to see if it, more spores are in there. It'll make me more mushrooms, but I haven't had that happen. So I don't know what the trick is or the key is.
I think you'd have to learn how to extract the spores from the fresh mushroom,
right?
And then
because it's quite a big bag of medium, right? Like it's a big bag, plastic bag, and it's got all the medium in there, and so there probably is the potential to. I just don't know. I haven't figured out how to.
Yeah, because typically mushrooms, when they grow, they then release the spores, then float off, and that attaches onto something else, and what that grows and the roots connect, that connects into.
I would think the same thing. I haven't figured it out.
I think you'd have to know the right time to get the spores before they are released, and then how to actually collect the spores. But if you have like if you live
out, so Mike, you could probably do this. If you have logs in your backyard, like you can actually buy the spores and like put them in dead logs or things like that, and then just grow your own wild mushrooms in the backyard.
I've had a few friends do that over the years.
Say that again?
I've had a few friends do that over the years.
that?
Where
Yeah.
they inoculate logs and cultivate their mushrooms.
And do you know why it's on dead? It's not, because I mean, you do see some mushrooms growing up on the sides of living trees, but you also see it in a lot of dead areas, like a log that's dead.
Yeah.
Part of the life cycle. We need something to turn dead material into healthy, rejuvenated soil and stuff. So it's just part of that cycle of life. Mushrooms
Phenomenal.
just happen to take that role.
Phenomenal. Love it. Love it.
Here in New Hampshire too, if you get online and look, we have mushroom companies here where there's 3 of them near me that actually grow these type of mushrooms and are able to purchase. They're selling to mostly restaurants, but I believe you can go in and buy them as an outsider if you contact them. So it's worth looking online to see.
Yeah, I bet they're everywhere.
Yeah, we actually have one not far from us, and they have a big production. I drove up to their site, and but it is mainly meant for restaurants, because you can only buy like if I wanted to buy like shiitake or something, I have to buy a case of shiitake, and if I wanted to buy something else, I have to buy a case of each, which me alone, I cannot possibly eat that many mushrooms. I could try, but
It would be you alone.
it would be me alone. So this is just something. So Host Defense is the company that Paul Stamets sells his mushrooms under. Anyways, that's where I got this chart. So this is not all the mushrooms we talked about, but a great deal of the mushrooms we talked about. So if you look at, if you're looking for specific, for a specific symptom as an example, if you look at, what's that one say? Immune response. So pretty much every mushroom is going to help with immune. So that makes it easy. The reishi, look at the reishi. It has a check mark next to everything. Antioxidants, good for breathing, digestion, energy, right? So reishi, probably top of the list in terms of all the things it can do. And then if you want to be more specific, so if breathing is, you're trying to find a mushroom for that, then there's the 3 mushrooms listed there. What's that say? Memory?
And even going horizontally, the immune response, every single mushroom is checked off for immune
Every
response.
single mushroom. Yeah, so
Very cool.
that's why, I've got some supplements here. This is a different company, not his company, but it doesn't really matter. So I've got Immune 7 and Complete 360. So these are just a bunch of mushrooms. So we've got sun mushroom, which is agaricus, red reishi, maitake, lion's mane, shaga, shiitake, cordyceps, turkey tail, and ashwagandha. So this would be good for stress and immune system, of course, and also maybe adrenal support. And then this is another one. Let's read the side. Agaricus, cordyceps, red reishi, maitake, shiitake, turkey tail again, and then some grape seed. So this would be more, again, mushrooms to help with the immune system, but then also different supplements to help with the immune system. So there's lots of different things out there. There's another one. This is a protein powder with lion's mane in it. So if you're already, if you wanted to try 2 things, you can do those 2 together, which is very cool. Here's a coffee. So it's just a powdered coffee with, again, a bunch of different mushrooms in here. What's in here? Cordyceps, maitake, red reishi, turkey tail. Oh, this one has the tremella, the white fungus, the snow fungus. So that one's that. Yeah. So, like I said, there's so much information on mushrooms. I'm not pretending I know, anything more than what I've learned or what I use in practice. But yeah, so there's lots of information out there that I haven't covered. But at least this gives you a start to look into different mushrooms for different conditions if that's what you're dealing with.
In Kay's saying that she had an indoor plant grow mushrooms and it happened out of nowhere. One day they just showed up.
Ah.
Cool.
And that happens quite often in my plants. I'll get the random mushrooms will appear. They'll be there for a couple of days, and then they've done their purpose and go away.
Very cool.
Love that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was really thorough.
Yeah, if anyone's looking for more information on mushrooms, there is, if you do have a Netflix subscription, there is a great documentary on there. I forget what it's called, but it is about mushrooms. I believe it was actually done by Paul Stamets.
Yep.
Is an amazing watch, even just to learn about the whole nature of mushrooms, how they grow, and how they really are the nervous system of this earth, and they are the communication system used by all of nature. And to me, that part was extremely interesting.
Yeah.
And I also watched Paul Stamets was on Joe Rogan.
Yes, I just saw that.
Yeah, that is an amazing episode. Even if you're not into Joe Rogan, that episode is incredible, and lots of amazing information. So you can just look that up as well. Mushrooms are really cool and something that we definitely need to pay a little bit more attention to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just saw that interview. It was actually really, really good.
Yeah, it was actually the one interview that got me in paying a little more attention to some of the guests he brings on his show.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily agree with all of them, but that Paul Stamets one was really cool.
Fantastic Fungi is the name of the one on Netflix.
That's the one.
Okay, perfect.
It was
Thank you, Jane.
really cool.
Fantastic Fungi. That was an eye-opening documentary to watch on Netflix, and there's a couple of other ones that are on there too. I think the other one's called Magical Mushrooms or something. That's along the same lines. But amazing documentaries on mushrooms, and such a treat. Awesome. Well, thanks, Rita. That was
Thank you.
really informative and knowledgeable. That was. I really do want to eat mushrooms, but it's the texture. Something about it.
Meditate on it, like Mike was saying. Do that meditation.
I'm going to try that.
I'll bring
A
you some
mushroom meditation. Yeah. See me in the forest covered with mushrooms and mushrooms growing on me. Right?
Just don't sit in a circle of mushrooms.
The purple ones. Oh, okay, good.
No, don't sit in a circle of mushrooms.
Oh, sit in a circle with mushrooms.
If you ever see a circle of mushrooms out in the woods, those are called fairy rings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's bad.
it's bad, yeah. If you choose to believe in the idea of fairies and the myth of fairies, those are their portals and their gateways between dimensions. And fairies can be mischievous. And so you're supposed to not step in them and avoid them because you may not have a good time.
Okay.
Good to know. Good to know. Well, that was phenomenal. So as everyone said, this was our season finale. We are off for the holiday break, and we're going to be coming back at the end or in the middle of January for our first show. So our season opener will be January 18th. We don't have any topics yet, but if you guys have a suggestion or a topic that you really want to hear about, reach out to us, and we're gonna see what comes to us naturally of what we should be manifesting. What I do suggest, if you really want to get to know more about Rita, go reach out to Rita at her website on oasishealth.ca. She has a lot of great information on there, a lot of good recipes on there too that are for free. And sign up for Rita's newsletter if you want to be informed for a lot of the cooking classes and free online events that are practically every week. I mean, you're always doing something, Rita, which is really cool. So I would really highly recommend to reach out to Rita, because whatever she makes, hey, I get to eat. So that's all good. Is that wrong? That was awesome. Awesome. And thanks to our panelists. Mike, you always know quite a bit of great information. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself as we end out here?
Well, for those who have never seen me before, I'm a professional energy healer. I've been doing that work professionally for 22 years. I'm the founder and creator of the Energy Healing System, which I do also offer mentorship programs, teaching people more advanced concepts and ideas around energy, spirituality, and health and well-being.
Beautiful. And we have our resident Reiki healer here, master Reiki healer, who taught me by giving me my level 1 Reiki certification.
Yeah, reach out to me. I teach and I do online sessions, and I'm also a medium channeler too. So you can get a hold of me this way or private message me under Jenny Hart.
And many of you know Rachel here, who from Intuitive Soul Rising, who's really freaking cool in many ways. That's Now, are you going to be teaching more in the new year, Rachel?
Yeah, so I have plans. I've been working behind the scenes on restructuring my Patreon group, which I haven't officially updated it yet, but that is in the works. So in January, I'm going to have more different features and services, more geared towards intuitive development, and then giving collective readings, things like that. New content to come in the new year also. Shifting some of my focus, but it's going to be, still the same type of stuff, but I'll just be doing it a little bit differently. And I still have my private Facebook group page where we are still doing the regular mediumship practices every month. We have two to three practices a month on Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern time. And tomorrow is our first one after a few weeks off. Con and I will be hosting that, and we often host those together, and sometimes Jenny hosts with Jim Fomenko, who's also in the comments here today. So so we hope to be maybe adding some different times in there eventually for that group so more can participate, but you feel free to join my private group, and you can participate live with us in the comments where we do different intuitive exercises, all based on expanding your intuition and your clairs. And that's it. Yeah. So that's always. So tomorrow we have our first practice.
We'll see tomorrow. And Jenny's going to be joining us too. So it'll be at least 3 of us on there tomorrow. So it'll be a lot of fun. So it's always a good time we get together. And I'm Con Knight. I have been doing a lot of cool stuff on Patreon. The most recent one was a humming event that we did by utilizing the sound of humming. And I mixed that with solfeggio tones as well, and how to just use about 5 minutes of humming, 5 minutes being present, and 5 minutes of grounding. It's a really cool 15-minute meditation. I'll be converting that and putting that onto my YouTube channel really soon. And the great thing is Channeling Eric is back. So not only are we doing channeling private one-on-one or group more intimate sessions on Patreon now, he's doing more topic-based stuff over on YouTube. So something was just released the other day. I hope you all will go out and listen to that as well. So definitely more to come in that front. Rita, anything you want to say, anything you want to share before we end up, as we thank you for being our host today? Anything you want to say to us?
I only think of my I have one more cooking class left for the year. We'll be making gluten-free vegan gingerbread cookies. And I just don't know the date. It's December, I want to say 17. So if anybody's interested in that, then just check out the website under classes and you'll see it there.
Beautiful. Love it. And that's it, folks. We are back at in the middle of January for our next season opener, January 18th. I hope you'll join us, and big, massive hugs and love. Remember to be kind to yourselves. Have a great Christmas. Have a great holiday, and we'll see you all in the new year. Much love, everybody.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Bye.